Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Divine Empress, and we're just gonna flow today. I want to mention a little bit about Atlantis. With this message, the Disney movie that I watched. I already made a video. This is pretty much like part two. But yeah, so when Milo first meets the men who helped him go on his journey to fulfill his dream, the man spoke about his grandfather. The man told Milo how his grandfather believed that knowledge was priceless, and how he challenged Milo. Was like Milo can build on what his grandfather already started. Basically, that's how I interpreted it, or he can go back to his regular life, to his boiler room. He also told him that his grandfather had a saying that, our gifts are remembered by what we leave our children, something like that. I think, throughout the movie, Milo was considered the weakest. He was the one that, physically, when they looked at him, he did not look like somebody who could hold that journey that they had to go through to find the lost Atlantis. But he was the one with the call, with the passion for that journey. And he was also the one with the knowledge. So he was, in a way, the most powerful, because without his knowledge, his guidance, regardless of what strength and resources they had, they couldn't have made it through. He was the guide. Therefore, he played like the most important role. But they were part of the movie where they would tease him and treat him like the weak one. And at the end of the day, if you look back, he was the strongest, and his knowledge and his ability, to the way he think and act and do things, what ended up saving everybody, you know. And I feel like a lot of us, we sometimes are surrounded by things and situations that don't encourage us in our journeys. And we have people looking down on us. We have people who, yeah, they're not supportive. And there can be many reasons to that. Sometimes they're not intentionally trying to be negative. It's just that they don't understand what we're trying to do. They don't understand what we're saying and the picture that we're trying to paint about what we want. And this reminds me of, I watched this girl here on YouTube. It was a melanated, beautiful lady. And she said something about how I think the idea was that she was trying to get advice. I think she was like going to medical school or something, or she was in med school, something like that. Well, basically, she realized that she was speaking to people who didn't feel like either they were good enough to achieve what she was achieving, or they have tried and they failed. And because of their experiences, they were advising her based on what they had gone through. Like, for example, like in the case of the medical school, like there are people who thought they would go that journey and they gave up along the way for whatever reason that they did, you know? And if you were to talk to those people, they can only speak to you based on what they have experienced, right? Some people will be like, oh, it will be too long. It'll be too long. Shouldn't do it. They gave up because maybe the whole process was too long from what they really wanted. Like some people who wanted to have family early and wanted to be people who were available for their families, then they realized maybe for those reasons they didn't want to go that route. Or maybe they realized, like, with the work and the things that they were learning, for whatever reason they decided not to go that path anymore. And if you're talking to those people, then they can only talk to you up to where they went, right? What they have experienced and what they personally believe. But it doesn't mean that you have to take that and think that that's going to happen for you. It's the same thing that happened to Milo. From the beginning, like in the beginning of the movie, you see these people running away from him because they were tired of hearing about Atlantis from him. You know, he tried his best for years to acquire the knowledge and do his research and know everything, like to try to prepare himself with what he was capable of. And now he was at a point where he needed funding. The next part, he needed somebody else to help him on his journey. Like some of us is like that. Maybe some of us watching this, you have an idea that you have worked so hard on. You have done the research. You've been trying your best to better yourself at the craft, at the skill, or whatever you know how to do, or you trying to pursue. And now it's at a point where you want to make this a reality, bring it to fruition, but you need that funding. There is something else. It feels like something else that is meant to come in order to help you complete this. And that's where you're stuck at. And first of all, thank you for not giving up. Because, like Milo in the movie, he didn't give up. He was going year after year, going to people after people, asking, for what he needed. So he didn't give up. So you're probably not giving up yet. You might be tired and everything, and exhausted from this journey. It's It's something else when we're the ones standing in our way, but then it's something else when what you need or what you want is supposed to come from another. There's others involved in your journey. It's different because that's something more that you cannot control. But the other thing with Milo also was that he was being watched by the one who wanted to support him, but he didn't know that. He was going to the wrong people the whole time. He didn't know that, of course. But there's someone else that had heard about him and was monitoring him the whole time to see. Because, even us, before we want to invest in something, we want to know it, especially if you got something to lose. Whatever you are investing in, you're going to spend time, money, energy. You invest in something into it. And sometimes we can be a little hesitant, you know? You can look at somebody and see potential in them, but you might not feel like they're ready for what you want to give them, you know? Like maybe from a young age, like, how those people that get discovered at a young age, somebody can see potential in you before you could have spoken to somebody, right? And they rejected you at that time because you were not ready. But it doesn't mean that they don't see the potential in you. They see it, but it's like the timing just wasn't right at that moment. And that's how sometimes some opportunities come back around. Maybe something that you got rejected from, you end up getting it later from the same person or from the same company or from the same line of work. It comes back around because you were not ready the first time and they needed to see more. Sometimes you find yourself in a position where you'll feel like you're working so hard, but you're not getting to where you feel like you should be. Sometimes it's not always because the place is not fit for you. Sometimes it's because you're not ready yet for that position. But everything is always aligning and working for your good. You're going to know if it's something that you just need to work harder on and keep going, or it's something that you need to let go of. And with anything, if you're not sure, please always ask the ones you trust and believe in and has your highest good. For me, that's a spiritual thing. I be like ask God. But for you, it's whatever you believe in. It can be anything, but please, I hope that is something healthy at least that you can really trust that will advise you with the best intentions for you. But yeah, Milo, like when it was time, It was the one he didn't seek, was the one who came to him. It came to him. The man sent someone to come and get Milo, to take Milo to him so they can talk. And then when Milo got there, the man already knew about him. The man knew about his grandfather as well. So it was someone that was already aware not just of Milo's power, but the power of those who came before him. I hope that makes sense. So it's like the other thing with Milo is that, challenges and obstacles are bound to come in our journeys. And it's all about perspective, honestly, because everything is there to train us for where we're meant to be and to awaken certain things in us to help us realize it. Because one of the things is that, like, we don't just believe things about ourselves because others have told us. For some reason, it's much harder for us to see the good in us than it is for us to see the good in other people. So, you have a talent, for example, maybe you watching this, and people have been complimenting you on something, some things about yourself, but you haven't believed those things or seen those things until maybe something happened where you had to go through an obstacle. Let's say somebody, people always talk about how smart and intelligent you are, or they talk about your strength, your compassion, but like good qualities about you, but you haven't seen you would hear it, you would listen to them, but you don't really internalize that, know what that means. But now you put through a situation, a challenge in your journey that made you see how really resilient and strong you are because of how you managed that situation and came out of it. Or you have been exposed to a situation that really made you think and reflect and see how compassionate you really are. Maybe a situation where you had to be compassionate for yourself or you're compassionate for other people. And it finally helped you see. And it's kind of like the journey that Milo had to go through. Because in the beginning, he was just a man that had a dream and just had this strong calling to Atlantis. But by the end of the journey, he was like a transformed man. He was not the weakest, he was actually the strongest. And it was because of the things that happened along the way that awakened that inner strength that was within him. He always had it, and he was always the one for the mission. That's why he was chosen. That's why even someone was willing to invest a lot of money in him, put the trust in him. People basically put their lives in his hand because he was the one guiding them. So there was always something about him. But I wouldn't say that he knew that from the beginning. All he knew that he was going in this journey that he'd been wanting to go in like for a very long time. And now here was he was going. He didn't know what was on the other side or how it was going to go completely. Even with his knowledge, there was like even with the knowledge that we have, life will still surprise us. But at the end of the day, it was a journey that showed him more about himself and taught others as well about him. So, like, no matter how much you feel like you know about what you know, there's always more to learn. We are forever students of life and work in progress. And just like for him, the right help came, the right support came at the right time. He wasn't chasing it. Elevated Mental here on YouTube, at least right now, that's her channel name. She likes to say this thing like, what you're chasing is running away from you. So for the things that you want, you need to be like in a receptive mode. For as long as you're doing and putting in the work, be receptive to your destiny helpers and the support that can come your way. And be open minded because it can come from anywhere, it can come from anyone. But of course, always ask for confirmation about things and pray over things because counterfeit stuff can also be thrown your way. Yeah, Just like it came for him, it came to him when it was time. It's the same way that things can come to you when it's time. But he was putting in the work regardless. He was putting in the work regardless. And I feel like sometimes that's where we get into this space where it's like sometimes we feel like I'm not really comfortable with the word manifestation because for me I feel like the way I hear it a little bit, it's almost like things just you just have to speak things like that um into existence. Things would just drop in your living room and you don't almost have to do anything. It's just a power of words. But I don't know about you, but from my experience so far, that's not where we are as people. Like you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. And as you're doing that, then things will come to you as you're ready. But you have to be aligned with the things that you want. You cannot want to be, for example, again, I'm going to use a doctor just because it's what I'm thinking about right now. Be a doctor and feel like you can skip through the training. Even if you were somehow able to do that because of whatever circumstances that you have that boost you up like that, what what kind of a doctor would you be? You would have the title, but would you have the qualifications? And imagine with that kind of situation of having a doctor who's not actually qualified to be a doctor. Would you want to be that person's patient? Imagine the damage that that could be. So I feel like manifestation is more like, for me at least right now, what I would say is believing in yourself. Believe in yourself and believe that you can achieve the things that you want to achieve. And sometimes it's going to get hard to believe in yourself. And in those moments, that's why in those moments, try to build a discipline, a routine with the things you're trying to achieve so that in those moments where you don't feel motivated, you don't feel inspired, and you don't believe in yourself enough, the discipline will help you keep going. Think of it like if you're putting um like you're trying to put like string together, like a thread, you're trying to build it. Let's say for example this necklace, right? Let's say I was like at this beginning here, and now I have to build all of this around. You know, at first I might have been like excited and inspired, and then I start to add, and I'm adding and adding and adding and adding. And then the work might get boring, get tiring, or I might want to do something else. I start to get distracted and everything, or I might just lack the motivation. But I have the discipline to just keep putting. Even if I have to slow down, at least the goal is to just never stop. Or if you need to take a little breaks, you take little breaks, but to remember to keep coming back. Even if I would just drop, even if I'm not looking, I just drop there that one string and go do something else and come. It's just to remember to keep going back to it. Eventually, that motivation might come back again because I feel like with motivation, it's like you keep going like this. Sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. But you just have to keep putting in the work, and eventually, everything will add up, and this whole thing is going to be built, however long it takes. The other thing I want to mention here with that too that I wrote down, it's a line from somewhere, but I don't remember. But it could have been from the movie Atlantis or one of the Disney movies I watch or something else. Achieve something when you are young so you don't waste your youth. As long as the faith remains, it will be responded to one day. For as long as you have that faith and you have that dream, please keep going and you will get there. The other thing also, the song of Atlantis, like towards the end, it's called Where the Dream Takes You. And it says that it's sung by Maya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly because it has an accent on the Y, at least from what I'm seeing online here. And the lyrics might help you. Like it says like they try to hold you back. They will say you're wrong, but they will never understand the journey that you're on. They'll try to change your mind. They'll try to change your heart. But understand. Sorry, they'll try to change your mind. They'll try to change your heart, but they will never understand who you are. And you will still believe and you know you must go. Where the dream takes you, where your dream takes your heart, where your heart longs to be, your dream will lead your on. When you finally find that place, you find all you need where the dream takes you. You can look at this song, maybe it might speak to you some more. With anything that I mentioned in these videos, like movies and shows and stuff, it's just to help me deliver the messages because that's probably how I received it. But it doesn't mean that I'm telling you what to do. Discernment is up to you with any messages at all, whether it be mine or anybody else's. You have the choice. We are basically messengers bringing you different perspective for you to consider as guides, but ultimately it's your own journey. You're the one who know your story, your life, and the way you do things and what is best for you. It's up to you to make the choice for yourself. With anything, always check with whatever you believe in for confirmation if messages are for you and which part is for you particularly, because not everything might resonate with you. And I'm saying this in this video, but I'm saying it for all the videos on my channel, especially. And yeah, as always, peace, love, and light. Know that you are always divinely guided, divinely protected, divinely provided for. You always have divine grace, favor, and mercy. Believe in that. Um, if you want, it would help you. That's why I'm saying it. But yeah,